Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be doing some spring pruning. I'm going to start here on my bloodwood tree. I repotted this tree after I got it from Tropical Expressions, and it's never been pruned. The tree has a natural tree-like form to it, so I don't want to change the tree too much, but I want to prune up some of the obvious branches that are crisscrossing and getting too long. Here is a look at the tree. So it survived its repotting. I did quite a severe root pruning in order to get the roots sorted out. And over the winter it put on 2 flushes of growth, but the growth came out and then it kind of fell off. It just wasn't light enough for the tree to keep that growth on, so it kind of came out this reddish color, and then after a while it just all fell off. So now that the tree is outdoors, I can see it's putting on another growth spurt, so that's the reason I want to prune it up today, so my new growth comes in where I want it, not way out at the tips of some of these long branches. I'm having a look at the tree, and I think I had chosen this as the front of the tree. It has the strongest branch coming up front, and it's a little taller than the back one. So I'll pick this as the front. So I'm going to start with some of these bottom branches. It's quite typical on trees. They come up the trunk and then they have some major divisions to some upright branches. And it's quite typical to have small, kind of weak lower branches on a tree. So I'm going to keep them, at least for now, but I am going to prune them back. So I'll prune this one back to here, pruning to some leaves that are kind of facing more horizontal. I'll take this smallest one back to here, and this one's fine. And it's possible, you know, I could eliminate these branches in the future, but for now I'm going to keep them on. This tall one coming up here, this skinny one, I'm going to prune off to here, like that. And this tree has thorns, so you have to be careful with the pruning. So I'm following the tree up, and then I have a branch coming off here which divides quickly into 2, and then it comes up, and it's getting, I wouldn't say it's too tall or anything, it fills the canopy out, but it could definitely be pruned. So I'm going to prune it back to here. Try to. There. The tall part here, there's a stub here I can prune back, and then I'll prune the tall part off to here, like that. There's a branch growing in towards the middle of the tree. I'm going to remove that one. And one down here. And I think the rest of that branch is fine. The other part of it out the back here, I've got some good growth. This one's getting a little long. I need to prune this one back, like that. And that's good. On this branch too, there's one crossing the trunk line. I'm going to take that out, opening that up a bit. So if I follow the trunk up now, I've got a branch coming off here, which is looking good. It is interfering with the branch beside it, so I'm going to prune it back shorter. Taking that off. And I may eliminate that. Yes, I will. It's kind of growing vertical, that branch. So I'll take it off totally. There's an upwards part here. I'm going to take the tip off, like that. Keeping that more of a horizontal branch. And then the other part of it comes up, and there's a part that's growing back in towards the tree. I'll take that off. Like that, wherever it went. And then there's part of it that's kind of cascading here. It looks a bit odd. I'll take the stub off here from the last time it was pruned, and I'm going to take this lower part off. I'll just take the tip, like that. Bit of an odd looking branch the way it comes down. I could prune that whole tip and just use my division of 2 here, and I think I will. It's just a bit of an odd looking branch, and I'll prune this one back like that. So this tree has a natural kind of tree-like form, and I don't want to make it look too manicured. I have this branch kind of crossing this other trunk line, and it's a nice branch, and you would definitely see something like that in nature. So I will just shorten it, giving a little light to this branch over here. Then if I follow my trunk line up, I've got 2 branches going from one spot here. And I've got to pick which one I like the best, and I think it's the one coming out the front, and I'll take off this one behind here. Like that. And I think I'll shorten this one to there. The trunk line coming up the back, I also have a division of 2 here. I'm going to take off the one that's kind of going to the inside here. Like that. And then I'll prune this one back. The tip of it's kind of going back across the tree, so I'll take the tip off. Like that. I will shorten these ones. And then here in the crown, I have another branch that's going back across the tree. I'm going to take that one out. Like that. This one is also growing back across, so I'm going to shorten it to an outward facing leaf. Like that. I'm going to trim this one back. There's a stub I can take off here. Okay. There's one out the back here that's getting long. I'll take that one back. This one's getting long up here. I'll prune that one back also. There's a stub I can take off here. Stub here. Now on this branch that comes up here, you can see it divides up here, and the one branch grows back across the other branch, so I'm going to take that one out. Like that. That opens that up. This one's getting too tall. I'll reduce it back to here. Now this branch that grows out the back here, I've got a branch growing back in towards the tree I'm going to remove. Let me just... Yeah, I'll take that whole tip off here. Like that. There's a branch here coming up, and then it's been pruned previously, not by me, and it's got two branches growing across the crown, and I have buds down lower that would make the branch fan out, so I'm going to take the top off of that branch. That opens the canopy up. There's a stub here I can remove. I'm going to take the tip off this branch. This one's getting a little long. I'm going to prune it back. There's a vertical stub I can take off here. And I'll take off this one that's kind of crossing the middle. Opening that canopy up so everything's kind of fanning outwards, if possible. Okay, just having a look from the front again. I've got two branches growing from here. I'll take off this one that's on the interior, keeping my better branch. Now I could take this one off. I've got a branch fanning out from the back trunk. I could take this one off because they kind of crisscross, and I think I will. Like that. I think that looks better. I think I'll take this upward growth off here. So I'm just having a look at the branches now. I think on this branch I have this branch that's growing across this other branch. I think I'm going to take that one off. Just to give each branch light. I've got two branches growing from one spot here. They're both fairly horizontal. One is thicker and one is thinner. So I've got to decide which of these two to take off. And that's a tough question. Or it's a tough decision, I guess, not a question. I like both of them. However, this one, you know, if it grows, it will grow over top of this other branch, so I better take the thin one out, keeping that back branch. Again, thinking of the future of the tree. Okay. There's some big stubs up top where it was previously pruned, and I think I had better clean those up. So I'll get my branch cutters and I'll come in and just take that stub back like that. This one's not the greatest, but I think maybe I could nibble it a bit just to clean it up so it heals eventually. Like that. Now I've noticed that back here I also have kind of a bit of a double branch there. And from the front I don't think I like this vertical one. It kind of comes from the base and curls upwards, so I'm going to take that one out. If I can get in there. There we go. Yeah, that one's got to come out. And I'm looking at this branch. It kind of comes back into the tree, but it's not in a bad position. I think I should shorten it a bit more. It was growing up into this branch. I'll just give it a little more room to grow in the future. Okay, now I'm getting close to finishing the pruning. I'll take a stub off here. Stub off here. So I'm just having a look at the tree now, just to see if anything's bothering me. I like the crown. It looks very, very natural. The whole tree is very natural looking. And the front could change for this tree in the future. It all depends how it grows in. Okay. I think all is well on the tree. I think that is it for the pruning. I'll rotate the tree around so you can see it from all angles. So here's the front of the tree, coming around to the right-hand side, to the back, to the left-hand side, and back to the front. So I'll give the tree a good water and put it back on the bench. The next tree I'll be working on is my small-leaf linden. This tree was collected by the side of a railroad track that they were taking out, so the tree would have been destroyed anyway. So I dug it up, and it was a tall tree at one time, and then after collection it died back, and I was left with just this one side branch here, and it didn't look very natural or tree-like. So I let one shoot grow, and I'm trying to develop a trunk and then keep this as kind of a side branch. So I want this area to thicken up. And I've done several, cuts on this vertical part because I don't want it, just rapidly growing straight and boring. I want to have some movement and taper to it and some branching. So I'm not going to touch this side of the tree. I'm just going to let that grow for the whole summer to thicken this vertical part up, trying to make the tree look more like a tree. I will, however, prune up this kind of cascading branch to minimize the vigor in this side, so all the vigor goes into growing that upright trunk that I want. I will be keeping both branches, but I want to keep this one kind of suppressed so it doesn't thicken up anymore. So I have two choices here. I could defoliate this side of the tree and then prune it up, which would probably be the best thing. It would suppress the growth here, and I could get a clear view at the structure for pruning. So I think that's what I'll do. The back of this tree has a lot of dead wood. This cascading branch, half of it's dead and kind of rotting away. So yeah, it's kind of a difficult tree. The root base is not so good on this side. It has like some thick roots, which aren't bad. This side has a lot more finer roots and looks a little more miniature. So I don't know where the front of the tree will be eventually. I'm keeping both sides open as an option for the front. So I think I will begin by defoliating the cascading branch. And then I can look at the structure and decide what I want to do with the pruning. So here I go, defoliating this side of the tree. So it's early enough in spring that after this defoliation, the tree has time to flush out on this side again. If you leave it too late in the summer, it may just go dormant and then you won't get your leaves forming until the next year. So I'll continue defoliation and we'll come back and have a look at the structure of this branch. I've got that branch defoliated, so let's have a look at it now and study the tree. So I'll get a front view of it. You can see there's lots of good ramification in that branch. Here's a look at the tree now. So here's the one view, and I'll rotate it around, and here's the other view. So I need to decide, is that branch getting too long? Do I need to shorten it to make it more compact? So let me study the tree and I'll decide. It is possible I have this upright growth here, that could become more of an upright trunk instead of laying down flat like that. That's a possibility for the future. I'll definitely, leave this branch to grow as an upright continuation of the branch. So I think maybe just shortening it a bit will do the trick. You can see I've cut off one of the legs of this branch here, and I've got all kinds of new growth in that area. I'm trying to think what it would look like shorter. I guess it depends, if I want to show this as the feature, this cascading branch, or do I want to develop, more of the trunk as the feature, and this is sort of just secondary. And that is a tough decision. If this is the front view, this branch definitely comes out towards you and it shows off that as the primary feature of the tree. If I use this as the front view, this branch goes in the background and the focus is on the vertical trunk of the tree, which is, I think, what I want to do. I think you can see the trunk line kind of flows upwards here. So it's good. It puts this in the background. It's not quite so dominant. If I choose this as the front view, the trunk is in the background, the focus is on here, and it's not the most attractive, It's dead in this section. There's kind of like a line here where the living part is. If this was a better looking branch, maybe that would be a feature, but I just don't think it is that good a looking. I think this is definitely the best view for the tree, and I developed this as sort of more of a secondary branch. So I think I'll use that approach, and I think I want to bring it in more compact. I think it's a little too spreading and dominant at the moment. And as this grows, this will take over in focus of the tree. And I don't know how long it'll take. It's getting, this part of the trunk is about the thickness here, so it needs to bulk up some more. So maybe after, this summer, it'll have thickened up a lot, and the tree will look a little more balanced. So I do like I've got this vertical part on this branch, and I've got a vertical part back here, and I like having some upright growth on it, not kind of a flat cascading branch. I think it looks more natural reaching up to the sky. I will keep these cascading branches, but I'll again try and focus on developing these more upright ones to be thicker and help fill out the canopy eventually. So I think that's the plan, is just to bring that branch in a little more compact, let these flowing upright ones grow more. Yeah, and then revisit the tree in fall and see how it's doing style-wise. All right, here I go pruning this branch up. So I have a branch here that's crossing underneath this branch, and I have a new shoot out here, so I can take at least the tip off anyway. No, I'm gonna have to take it right off. It's not the most flowing. There's a stub here I can clean up. I'm going to prune this one back. This branch, it's not very flowing. It doesn't even come 90 degrees to the thicker branch. It's cranked in, so I'm going to take that one right off. Like that. There's some upright growth here I'm going to take off. Developing more flowing branches. There's a branch on the inside here I can remove. Again, picking my more flowing branches. Pruning that back, pruning this back, pruning this one back. And then I've got a stub in the middle that I need to remove. So I will come in with the branch pruners and take out that center stub here. Trying to get in there, right there. Like that. That makes, more of a flowing branch tip. There's a vertical shoot here I can take out. Bud there I can rub out. There's a branch on the inside here I can remove. It's not very flowing. And then underneath this branch I have two branches going left and right, and I could develop that instead of this branch tip if I wanted to bring it more compact. And I gotta decide if I want to do that. It would give me more taper. You can see this branch has no taper from here all the way up to here. It's a bit of a tough decision. I think I will. It'll help kind of keep this branch a bit more cascade-ish. So I'll take this one off. And I'm wondering about this tip. If I remove it, there's a chance I could get these two branches dying back. So I think what I'll do is I'll leave a stub for dieback. Like that. So there's my division from 1 to 2. And it brings it a bit more compact. So this branch here, I have a division here where it divides to 2, so I can take the tip off. I can prune them back. That kind of cleans up. There's a vertical one here I can remove and clean this stub up. And then I've got a choice here. I've got two branches coming off this side. I could develop this one or this one. And this one is the more flowing branch. This one's a little more 90 degrees, so I'm going to take this one off. Like that. And then I'll just prune the stub back, cleaning it up. Like that. That gets that branch a little more flowing. I can take the tip off here and the tip off here. I think that improves it. Now, if we go to this branch, here's my upright one I want to develop. So I'll just leave that one alone. And then I've got this part, I've got a new branch here that's kind of a duplicate of the thicker branch, so I'm going to take this one out, prune off my vertical growth there. There's one growing to the inside crisscrossing this other branch. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to clean up my stub here and prune this one back to here so it grows out in this direction. And then I'll just shorten this one. Like that. And then I've got this sort of upright one here, and I've got to decide, do I want that? It's not too bad. I think I'll keep it. I'll just prune it back. And where? I think at least to here. I think that'll do. This one I was going to leave alone. I think it's fine. I'll take the stub off here. Maybe even a little more. Like that, just cleaning it up. And this part is fine here. Well, it's kind of opposite this branch. I don't know if I need that one. I think I'll remove it. Stub there. Cleaning up some stubs. Now, if I go back here, this one divides into two, which is all right. I'll just prune the tip off here to get it growing, fanning out a bit more. I don't even know if I need that vertical part. I don't think so. It doesn't flow, so I'm going to remove it. Like that. And this one, again, if I just let it grow, I'll get this straight branch. So I want to prune it back, so I get some movement and taper, and maybe this one also. Prune it back like that. I've got two opposite branches here. I'll take out the one on the inside. That cleans this branch up. On this branch here, I have a branch that's kind of growing back in towards the center of the tree. I'm going to remove that. And there's one growing on the top I can remove. And a little bud here, I can pinch that new branch off. Okay. Now I've got this section here to do. There's one growing back in towards the center of the tree. I'll remove that. Take this one off. There's two branches going from one spot, and that one was growing back in towards the tree. I'm going to take this little new shoot out here. Don't want it too cluttered in that area. I'm going to take the tip off this part. And then if I come out here, again, I've got this branch growing back in towards the center of the tree, so I'll take that one out. It's not flowing. Take the tip off here. I've got two branches going from one spot there. I think I'm going to take off the vertical one. Keep the horizontal branch like that. And then I've got this branch here. It doesn't really, it continues this line of the branch, but I guess it's okay. I'll have to take off this one. And I've got a cluster of branches here. I'll take a stub off here, a stub off here. And I'll take the tip off there. And I don't really need these ones, so I'm going to remove them. So I've got it kind of dividing here. It does have like 3 branches in one spot there. I think I will take this one out. It's just not so good. And develop this one. Okay, I think that's got that branch pruned up. It's quite flowing. Oh, there's one growing on the inside here I gotta take out. Yeah, I think that's quite good. So we'll let that fill in over the summer. It'll generate new leaves, and I wonder if I should take the tip off here just so it's not again growing straight. I'll take it back to here. Yeah. Okay, that branch is pruned up. Let's have a look from the front now. So here is a look at the tree from the front, and I know you can't really see a whole lot at the moment, but yeah, I think that's quite nice. I think, you know, as these vertical ones grow up a bit, I keep this as a horizontal branch, it'll start to look more and more natural in the future. And I'm just going to let this part of the tree grow unrestricted for the whole summer. I've already done all my cuts in here to get some interesting movement, and eventually, you know, it'll get shortened back probably in fall. Once it loses its leaves, I'll do a structural pruning once again on this side, and then yeah, and just keep developing this tree, trying to make it look more and more natural. Before it goes back on the bench, I'm just going to weed the tree and give it a good watering. So someday this small leaf linden will have small leaves. At the moment, you know, because I let the tree grow and I water it well, it's got fairly large leaves on it for this species, and they will reduce as I get more ramification and I do more pruning on the tree. Eventually it'll get quite tiny leaves on it. Okay, here I go with the water. The last tree I'm going to prune up today is my buckthorn, but not my big buckthorn, the smaller one. I'll show you my larger buckthorn. Here's a look at my large buckthorn. So I've moved both the American elm and the buckthorn from the poly house out onto the benches. I did that about a week ago, and they're doing really well. They've gotten used to the sunlight. They're growing in nicely. So both of these trees got a good proper root pruning. It was the first proper root pruning this tree's had, I think. Sorting all the roots out. It was quite a severe operation, but the tree is doing well, and I'll just let this one grow for this whole summer because I want to, you know, build up the root system, get it nice and strong to overwinter. It's tempting to prune it, but you know, that'll come probably next year. And the elm also got a good proper root pruning. It went into a bonsai pot for the first time, and it's doing well. The leaves are growing with lots of vigor. It looks healthy, so that's good. I was kind of worried about both of these trees, you know, after that severe root pruning. So the buckthorn I'll be pruning up. My last tree for today is right here. So this tree was overwintered in the greenhouse here, and the other buckthorn was in the poly house, the unheated poly house. And this one wasn't repotted this year, so you can see how much more vigorous it is. So I'm going to prune this one back today. Here is a look at my smaller buckthorn. So this tree kind of had a rough life. It started as a little seedling growing in the front garden, and I thought, well, I'll prune it up to try and make it a bonsai someday. So I'd let it grow, I'd prune it. It was just clip and grow, and I got kind of a nice trunk line on it, and I was trying to develop branches, but they always died back, and I think it was just too dry in the front garden. These buckthorns grow in forests as an understory tree generally, and they like, you know, a bit of shade and lots of moisture. And it just wasn't getting that in the front garden, so it kept dying back. So you can see there's all kinds of pruning points on the tree where branches were growing and developing, and then they die back, and it would grow again and die back. So eventually I dug the tree up from the front garden, put it in a bonsai pot, and it struggled, and now it's doing really well. It's kind of established in the pot, and I'm watering it regularly, and every branch survived this winter, and they're all growing with nice vigor. So I think that's the secret with the buckthorn, is lots of water, fertilizer, and not full intense sunlight, but kind of more of a, not a shady spot, but a spot that gets some good sun for maybe 3 or 4 hours a day. So this is where I chose the front of the tree, somewhere about here. And today I'm just going to look at the structure and then prune it back. Here's a look at the trunk of it. So you can see this side of the trunk, which I chose as a front, is deadwood. And the live vein is kind of around the back of the tree. At least, you know, I would say 75% of the trunk line is alive. It's just this dead strip up the front, which I think will look really nice as this tree matures. It'll kind of roll over and you'll always see this gnarly looking deadwood. I think it'll make an attractive tree in the future. So I've done a big chop on the tree in the past. I sealed it with rubber cement, and that's healing really nicely. I did another big chop up top here. So today I'm going to start by pruning all the new shoots back to the first pair of leaves, making the tree more compact, and then I'll go in and look at the branches and do some branch selection. All right, here I go with the pruning. So on a buckthorn, the leaves alternate. You get a vertical pair of leaves, then a horizontal pair of leaves, then a vertical pair of leaves, a horizontal pair of leaves. So you can use directional pruning quite well on these trees. So I'm going to take this one back. There's a vertical leaf and one pointing downward. So I'll take it right back to there. And I'll leave a bit of a stub for dieback. And I'm generally going for up and down movement, not horizontal spreading branches. That'll come later on as I develop the branches, but for now I'm just trying to create interesting movement in the branches. There's a little bit of orange on it. I think it's some kind of a fungus, so I'll definitely get rid of those leaves. You can see it on this branch too. It's on the leaves too. I think it's just a fungal issue. Okay. Some of these branches I'm leaving a little long, and I can always come back and prune them shorter once I take a look at the structure of the tree. So I think that's got all the new growth kind of pruned back. So now I've got to study the tree. Okay, I'm having a look at the tree. So right here I've got two branches, two bar branches, handlebar branches. There's one here and one here. I've got to pick which one of those I want to keep, and I think in this case I'll remove this one in here, so it's coming off like that. As I go up the trunk, I've got a vertical shoot coming up here I can remove. I can clean up a stub here. And then here again I have opposite branches. I'm going to remove this crossing one and keep the one off to this side like that. This back branch, I'll take the stub off here, and then I've got a vertical section growing on it, and I'm going to prune it back to this horizontal branch here like that. I think, this branch is looking good. I could prune it back a little further. And this one I could prune back a little further. I'll take this stub off first. I have a set of leaves here, so I'll prune it back a little further. And then going up the tree, I have got, the trunk line comes up and I have a division here, and then I have a lot of branches growing in all from the same spot. I've got like a cluster of branches, so I need to clean that up. So I've got to pick my best branches. So here's the front of the tree. So I'm going to take out this little one here. I'm going to shorten this one and maybe even further. Buckthorn grow very long and straight, so you need to prune them back compact so you get kind of a miniature look to the tree so the branches have movement. Otherwise it's just a bunch of straight branches. There's a stub I can take off here. There's a weak one kind of growing up the center here. I'm going to remove that one. It's kind of in the way of all the other branches. This one's kind of growing on the inside of a curve. It's not the worst branch in the world. It's one I think could be pruned off in the future. You can see, you know, this branch here is very straight. So maybe in the future, you know, it'll get pruned back shorter. But that may come in the future. I don't think I'm ready to do that yet. Just taking some stubs off here from the last time I pruned it. Okay, let's have another look. So this is the front somewhere here. Maybe. I may have to change the front, maybe more to here, I think. I think this is a little more interesting here. So I'm going to remark my front over here. I think it's a better front. I think this branch is kind of interfering with the trunk line behind, so I'm going to take that one off. And then I've got to decide about, you know, I've got it dividing into two upright trunks here, which I think looks good. I will prune this one back. I got some buds here, so I can take this one back further. Taking the top off. And I think I better take this one back further. And this one. Just to keep these branches more compact so they're not, again, so they're not so straight looking. Now I still have this cluster in here. I better take everything out except my main trunk line there. And there's another branch on the inside here. That cleans that division up. I've got two opposite branches here. I need to clean one of those up. And I think in this case, I'm going to take that whole top off and keep those two branches. So one will be the continuation of the trunk line, this one, and this will be more of a branch. So I think that's looking much better. I think I better take this branch back. I've got a branch here, and you can see how straight it is without any movement or taper. I could take it right back, and I think I better. And I think this one too. Even though I have ramification at the tip, I think it's better to develop this again so I don't have straight looking branches. And maybe this one also. So back to here. This one's got to get pruned back. That's pretty hard pruning on this tree. However, I think it needed it. Okay, that's about all I can prune. So there's the tree. It's yeah, it's certainly more compact. I wonder, I have a bud here. I should probably prune it back too. Again, you know, avoiding these straight, long, straight branches with no taper. So let's take a final look at it. I'll rotate the tree around. So this is maybe the current front, and it could change in the future depending on how well the branches grow in. A buckthorn in the ground, if you prune it, they react by sending out a dense cluster of branches. And I'm hoping, you know, this tree gets vigorous enough that it does the same. When you prune it, it sends out a cluster of branches, giving you lots to choose from. So here is the front at the moment, coming around to the right-hand side, coming around to the back, the left-hand side, which could make quite a nice front someday. If I prune that tall one off to there, actually that looks pretty good. Yeah, that's a pretty good looking front. I could eventually prune that tall leader off and develop this. That would be awesome. So I think that'll be, you know, the future of the tree, doing that. And then coming back to the front. Yeah, I think this is a much nicer front. And you can see there was dead wood on the trunk here and it's healed over. So I think the same thing will happen with the dead wood on this side, is that it'll roll over and create something quite nice. Yeah, I like that as the front, and I'm tempted to cut the top off now and use this as the front. I think I'll leave it. That'll be my next step for this tree. I think that'll look awesome. Get rid of that big, tall, straight section. Keep my curvy movement to the tree. Yeah, that is a good looking front. I'm going to remark it as this is the front. And we'll let the tree grow and recover, and then once it gains vigor, I'll do that. I'll prune this top off, but I won't do it today. Yeah, so there, that is a cool looking front for the tree. Okay, I'll give the tree a water, get it back out on the bench. Before I water the tree, I'm just going to spray it with soap and water, just to make sure if there is any fungal disease, it helps get rid of it. Okay, it's time to rinse the tree off and give it a good watering before it goes back out on the bench. Here is a European buckthorn growing beside the house that we're trying to kill off and not having much luck yet, but we'll keep at it. So you can see how they're capable of extremely dense growth. When you prune them, they shoot out all these clusters of branches. So I think it's a promising species. They are very invasive here in Ontario, so you're free to dig them up from any forest or anything. And as long as you don't let the berries ripen, and you know, birds will eat the berries and then spread the seeds. So as long as you pick the berries off it if it flowers, it should be quite safe to keep as a bonsai, and it'll stop it spreading and becoming kind of naturalized. I pruned up 3 trees today, and I think they all have a good future ahead of them, even my little buckthorn. So that is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.